And Jamie Yuccas joins us now, 3 o'clock every day at my house. This is what's going on. But I have to say, you know, I think it's really interesting. You talked to this clinical psychologist at the Child Institute. And how does heavy homework affect a child's development, brain development?
Well, so what can really happen is their emotional development gets really stunted, because when they're that young, what the clinical psychologist said is they really should be focused more on making friends and figuring out what is a good friend, sharing, caring, those types of things, spending time with their family. So if they're not doing that and they're just in the homework, in the book work, they're not developing those emotional skills that'll come into play later on.
But I mean, I know parents that like to see a lot of homework, that it means that their kids are busy, you know, idle hands, you can get into trouble, and whatever the rest of that phrase is, the devil's playground. What was the response to that, to the idea that maybe keeping them busy is a good thing?
Well, so the clinical psychologist did tell us too, you know, repetition is how we learn things. So when you have homework, it's just reinforcing that idea that you learn throughout the day, right? So some homework is good, but when it becomes too much, you don't get a badge of honor just because you're doing all of this homework. And what she said is the parents who really want that much homework, they're actually setting their child up for failure, especially later on in high school and college, because you set these expectations so high when they're young that if they can't meet them, you're emotionally just going to stunt them and have them break down. And you're developing this idea that you're only worth something if you complete all this homework and get the A's and, you know, strive to be the best.
Yeah. In your piece, we saw the little girl walking around with that huge packet of papers in kindergarten.
In kindergarten.
If we continue to see this spike in homework, do you think we're going to see a spike in homeschooling?
Well, you know, that's an interesting question, and no one could really answer that for me. But I do think, like, she has her master's degree in education and says, I am fully prepared to homeschool these kids as long as they want to be homeschooled. Because she did say for herself, too, there are some social activities and sports and those types of things that later on they may want to do in school. And then homework kind of catches up. So it's really in those young years, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, that you're seeing just this massive amount of homework. Even the average is 25 minutes a day, they found out in kindergarten, where the PTA and psychologists are saying they should have no more than 20. So even the average student is getting just a little bit too much homework. But by fourth, fifth, sixth grade, it seems to even out a little bit. And actually in high school, they're getting about an hour, which everybody says is pretty normal and will set them up for college.
I'm trying to think back to kindergarten. I don't remember doing homework in kindergarten. Did any talk about where this came from, this need to pile on with these kids?
Well, so there is this whole idea, the Common Core curriculum and some of the other standards that have been put in place. Kindergartners, I found out, are actually learning things that you and I learned in like second grade, maybe the beginning of second grade, but in second grade. And so there's this idea that you start them out more vigorously when they're in kindergarten, and then it kind of evens out again, like third, fourth grade, to where we were. But you get them in so that with testing and things, they're able to kind of continue on and do. But we have seen other students that need to be held back then because they're just not, they want to be drawing and taking a nap and eating goldfish crackers like we did in kindergarten.
I believe
right?
it. I mean, my third grader's math, I mean, it's way advanced.
Right.
It's over my head.
Should have been here when we were talking about home or the university, right?
I need to go back to
Parent
school.
University. You can talk to her about that later. Jamie Yuccas, thanks a lot.
Thanks.